What up, my peeps? Master Shredder here, aka the Fat Princess, aka the Fat Destroyer. And thought I'd kill two birds with one stone. I've basically got to make some notes for our Fat Burning Ninjas competition. So every day we do workouts to our members, and I voice over each day's workouts with, inspirational, motivational content. And I was going to just write some notes on my phone by using dictation, whatever. But I thought I might as well make a video, because that way it's got the text, the dictation on it. And then at the same time, getting some cardio in whilst creating something valuable for people who want to better themselves, tidy up their act, so to speak, with their daily habits, their nutrition. So, yeah, forgive me, I'm just sorting out this new mic as well. Trying to make sure that's working. So, I'm basically going to talk about my journey over the last 7 months. So, give you a quick overview of my journey, my own personal journey. So, I was on track with my health and fitness, my nutrition, shredded to the max about, 10 odd years ago when I started Fat Burning Ninjas, and I don't even know how long ago, over 10 years. Doing really well, helping thousands of people. And then my wife left me. I sunk into a deep, dark depression. I lost all my earthly belongings, including the business. I owed $200,000 to the government. We were making a really good income, so my income was taken from me. My ex-wife has tried to take the house from me. It's now battled in court, and looks like we're going to be splitting it 50-50, which is the rightful thing. But yeah, at the time it was more about my emotional sanity disappeared. I was on anxiety medication, having humongous anxiety attacks, because I thought the government was coming after me for around about $200,000. I then got a shark loan of 50 grand out to pay my ex-wife's bills, because I cared about her more than myself. But you could flip that around and say I didn't care for myself. So therefore, it's easy to care about others. So that's another lens in which to look at it, and that's sort of the lens that I'm starting to see it through now, because of a lack of self-care. I cared for her more than myself. So, caring for others more than yourself is really a good thing, obviously, but it's not a good thing if it's at the sake of your own mental and emotional sanity. Like, that's pretty silly. So that's what I went through. Anyway, lost my life, lost my earthly riches, lost my business, lost my marbles, lost my sanity. I was going through a deep, dark depression, turned to smoking. I was smoking a pack of ciggies a day, at least. I ended up growing my own tobacco because it was cheaper. Save that money. I didn't have money. I was in, massive debt. So I was in I was up to my eyeballs in debt. Government wanted around about $200,000. Didn't have it. Took me a year to get off that, year and a half or whatever. Having anxiety attacks. I was in 50 grand debt with a 30% interest on the loan, shark loan, which is from Harmony and Avanti. So don't do it, guys. If you're wanting to get money immediately, just hold off. It's not worth it, because they I basically never repaid the principal. It took me like the last 7 years to pay that off, and that's just from working hard, and it was ridiculous. I ended up paying like, basically, imagine just giving them like around about 10 grand. Because of the interest was so high, I could never make the repayments back that I would hit the principal ever. I was basically giving them money. So yeah, those shark loan places and the banks and all these interest-bearing schemes, they're there to suck you dry like demons. They really are. Once you're enslaved to their system, they're sucking the money, the life out of you. I remember it sucked my soul out of me. I had no energy. I was depleted emotionally, physically, and mentally. And that's when I had been against drugs, against alcohol, right up until I was about 30 something. I got drunk for the first time when I was about 30. So, you know, I was I was against alcohol and drugs till that age, because I'd seen what it's done to my own family, the detrimental effects. But then I thought, to hell with it, you know, I'm depressed. I'm literally crying for hours in the backyard smoking. So I was like, might as well drown my sorrows with this alcohol and drug stuff. So I gave it a go, yeah, but it was it took me a while to transition over as well, because I really hated it. I didn't like it. I mean, imagine that you have a type of food that you dislike, like yams or carrots or beans or whatever, you know. That's what alcohol and drugs was like to me. It was foreign to me. I really didn't like it. But because I was in such a dark place, I wanted to get rid of the pain, and it's pain that we either try to avoid. Well, that's what we try to do. We try to avoid. We avoid pain and we run towards pleasure. That's what we do as humans, right? So pain was so strong. I had never felt pain like that before. So I was willing to do anything to avoid that pain. So yeah, anyway. It took me about maybe a year and a half to become an alcoholic. Yeah, about a year and a half to become a full-blown alcoholic. Before that, I'd just, you know, drink on the weekends and get a bit tipsy and a bit drunk by like have 10 drinks or something like that. But I still didn't like it. So I was doing something I didn't like, putting those substances in my body, building up a resistance to the alcohol, and dabbling in a few drugs here and there. But I didn't start really hitting the drugs till later on. It was more the alcohol. So then I committed to becoming a stepfather to a family of 3 children, and it was about 6 months into that I became basically an alcoholic, or maybe 6 months. Became an alcoholic, so I'd be drinking like 1 or 2 bottles of wine each night. Because by that stage I felt that pressure accruing, and it was pressure that I was unable to sustain, and it was unbearable. So thank you, honey. Alcoholic. Fast forward a few years, became basically hooked to drugs. I used a lot of MD. MD was that pleasure drug that, you know, you get that momentary high where you feel like you're in love with everyone, your emotions are ecstatic, you're happy, nothing can knock you off the top of the world. But of course, to come down the next day and the following days. stuck in that cycle for a number of years. And then I met my future wife, who basically gave me the ultimatum. It was like, it's me or the alcohol, because I was a full-blown alcoholic by that stage. I was drinking, holy shit, like 80% absinthe, sculling it back straight, and then knocking it back with, as a chaser, like 12% beers. Diablo beers, I don't know if you know those, but yeah, that's pretty real bad. And I was drinking morning and night. So she gave me the ultimatum. And this is about 2.5 years ago. I'd had enough, so I really wanted to give love a go. And this woman was showing her love and appreciation for me. Just didn't want the alcoholism in her life. And so I actually really loved this woman. So I gave up the alcohol. Went to AA for a number of months, gave up the alcohol. But what I did was I switched straight from alcohol over to weed, so that I still had a little crutch that I could rely on when, you know, wanting to let my hair down, and I deserve a treat for working hard and all this stuff. You know what we do. We justify it to ourselves why we deserve this boost in dopamine. So I became addicted to weed. So that went on for about 2 years. So it was alcohol free, great, but I switched over to weed and then became addicted to that. I'll have to, yeah, so then so I switched over to weed, was addicted to weed for up until 7 months ago. Just saying how I was addicted to weed and switched over to weed. And then came to the end of myself there because I wanted to clean my act up. I really wanted to have the life that I once had, I guess, which was a life of like worldly purity when it comes to substances and alcohol and drugs and all that kind of thing. I was against it all my life up until about 30, 32, whatever. So now I'm 40. So yeah, 7 months ago, I bit the bullet, and at New Year's, just, made a New Year's resolution that I'm going to quit weed completely. Had been talking about it with my beautiful partner for, leading into that time, I guess, just here and there, but still wanted to hold on to it because it was such a pleasure, just to lose your mind and get lost and not have to worry about a thing until the next day, the big come down and the irritation for the next 3 days and ups and downs. But so New Year's, I quit the quit the weed. So it's been 7 months now. I've been substance free. Oh man, that's right. I was on a medication journey too. So I had medication. I was being medicated for over about 10 years, which my ex-wife basically forced me to go and, it was her way of basically, blaming me, saying all the problems in our marriage is your fault, so go and get medicated. And so I went and got medicated, anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADHD, meds. And so I quit meds about 2.5 years ago, darling. So about 2.5 years ago I quit meds as well. It was about the same time, just after I quit alcohol actually. I quit alcohol first. Then my beautiful lady was saying that these meds aren't good for you, because she does a lot of research on medication, has her own medication journey. Hey darling. Yeah. And so I was like, I was scared to come off them because I really have become reliant on these medications. I have tried to come off it before and just found life too hard to deal with, I guess, because the medications I was on were ones that really just vegged you out, turned you into a zombie. And I guess I learned to live that way, slightly half asleep. I don't even know how I went through that, but yeah, finally quit the meds, and my energy came back to me after I quit the meds as well. So, this is the medication that your doctor prescribes, bipolar, ADHD meds, anxiety, depression type meds. Yeah, can't even remember the name of them now. What was the intense one? Lithium. Yeah, lithium, and the other one. Quetiapine. Yeah. Oh my God, those two are just basically a deadly cocktail from hell.
If you want to get a good night's sleep, just take
Yeah, that's right. If you want to get a good night's sleep, just take a couple of those, and you'll sleep all right. You won't wake up. So yeah, that got rid of those. Energy came back. I was a lot more engaged with the world, babe.
Yeah, your conscience came back too. You weren't so numb to what, how you were going about your everyday life.
Yeah.
Your like morality and everything started coming back.
Yes, my morality came back. That's when I started making value judgments, whereas before I didn't give a damn about anything. I didn't give a damn about values and morals. I didn't care. Yeah, crazy. So they came back, and so I wanted to get back on the straight and narrow, and so yeah, that medication journey helped. Coming off meds, helped me think straight.
Yeah, you got your motivation back and your ambition.
Yes, I did. I started the business again.
Yeah, and you lost weight.
Yes, I did. I started shredding.
Yeah, because you were just such a vegetable before.
I was a veggie before, straight up, the fat kind.
No, not fat. You just were a little bit squishy.
Yeah, so got motivation back to start this business, Fat Burning Ninjas again. And that started feeling good, because starting to help people really gave me a sense of purpose and meaning, and seeing people's lives transform in front of my eyes because of something I'd, put in place for them. It was really rewarding, emotionally and mentally, and it encouraged me. So, and so it encouraged me to take that next step, which was then coming off the weed, because I was bound and addicted to weed. There you go. So I put the bullet. I've basically been, completely drug-free, alcohol-free, substance-free of every kind other than food. So that was my next transition. I basically have have had anhedonia the last 7 months since January, and that is just basically a real dip, a lack of dopamine. And dopamine is obviously the feel-good hormone that keeps you feeling good. So I've really been struggling with lack of joy. All the normal everyday things in my life just seemed just meaningless, didn't give me any joy. I've been really irritated, really prideful, really horrible, really, to be around. I don't know how she put up with it. She must love me. But yeah, it's been a real challenge, honestly. It's been a real challenge. So some of the things, the stage that I'm at now, because what happened is I got hit with a real bad flu as well, which caused friggin' long-term fatigue. What do you call it? Post-viral fatigue. So I've had that to deal with it as well, post-viral fatigue, which just my energy has been gone the last 3 months. So it's like my life just goes from bad to worse. But in terms of my health, but I now feel like I'm on the up and up, but going back to, transitioning from, basically we all have a crutch always, right? Because you move from alcohol, well, this is my journey. I've been on medication, then switched to alcohol, become an alcoholic, then quit alcohol, but switched over to weed, so substances, drugs. I was actually on A-class drugs in there, I told you that anyway. Then quit weed, and 7 months ago, then it was food. Now food's been my struggle the last 7 months, because it's the last piece of enjoyment and pleasure that you can squeeze out of life, if you know what I mean, when it comes to earthly pleasures and substances that you consume, at least, right? So you have these external substances that you consume, and yeah, food has been the last one. So really, man, I've been a glutton. And I've limited it because I've had to for the fitness business, but I will just unleash the demon of gluttony once a week and just go absolutely crazy. Like, I mean, taking in thousands of calories in one day, like 10,000 calories. Cakes, biscuits, pies, cream, donuts, lollies, chips, you name it. Just go absolutely wild. So I've managed to, what me and my wahine have done is, for the last 7 months, we've been slowly experimenting with dopamine deprivation, which is basically fasting from food, because food was the last substance that we rely on, and because we still eat that every single day, we're not going to get rid of food altogether, right? I mean, yeah, so disciplining the food, stripping it right back to real basic plain food, but although her cooking is delicious, you know, low calories, keep it light, and we have actually gone vegetarian, basically, darling? Vegetarian, whole foods, vegetarian, you know, fully healthy, massive amounts of fiber, vegetables, and that has basically depriving ourselves of dopamine throughout the week, but you know, then I'd just unleash on Sundays. But I'm planning to, so stripping that back has been good because I've been shredding back to a normal weight range, you know, starting to feel good. But it's been a real struggle. It's been a massive struggle. But yeah, dopamine deprivation. So we've also gotten rid of the TV throughout the week, which is another form of dopamine that you get. I've had to jump back on social media. I've had a job change as well, which made things quite difficult. I had to get up really early before 6 a.m. I'm not used to that. But that's been about 3 months now, and I'm getting used to that. Things are settling in. And I am starting to appreciate my mornings and waking up every morning at the same time, which is really good for my energy levels. But yeah, dopamine deprivation, now we're on to that. So getting rid of things that give you instant gratification, things like TV, social media, give you a spike in dopamine. Sugary foods, high glycemic foods like lollies, chips, chocolate, all of that kind of thing. And so we've gotten rid of TV during the week, which is amazing. We've found so much more pleasure in each other's company because we've been forced to have to engage with one another, And by keeping those short accounts, it means that shorter accounts means that you're able to get resentments, and well, for me, I'm able to get my resentments and my bitterness towards life, whatever they are, the problems of life, out, because I have multiple times throughout the day where I'm able to do so with the one that I love. So it cleanses my heart, so to speak, and gives me an opportunity to get those things off my chest, which I've found really enables my energy to come back. And because a lot of the times it's that mental pressure that's on your chest about things that you're unable to reconcile with, that weigh heavy on your heart, and they cause physical fatigue. The outcome is that you have literally physical fatigue because of that emotional and mental stress of not being able to reconcile the contradictions and the troubles in your mind or your heart, whether it's job or finances or your health or problems with your relationship, whatever, intimacy. It just doesn't matter what the issues are. We've always got issues every day, right? But what I've found is that by depriving ourselves of instant gratification like television, where you just veg out and you're just like a zombie anyway, like a gluttonous entertainment, zombie that is just gluttonous for entertainment, it's totally a waste of absolutely valuable time. That's what I'm realizing now, which I'm so thankful that me and my future wife are on the same page there, because we have so many enjoyable conversations now that makes me feel lighthearted. And then I'm noticing that my physical energy is slowly starting to come back because of those conversations, because I'm able to, set yourself free of burdens. And a burden shared is a burden halved. And when you've got half a burden, that's way less fatigue that you're fighting, because you have less contradiction, you're more pure of heart. You can see life in a much more positive light. So, yeah, I'm now going to fast on Sunday instead of gluttonizing as well. So once a week I usually gluttonize, and I gain back all the weight that I'd lost from a good week of shredding, So it's basically the same addiction cycle, but just manifesting through a different medium, whether it's drugs, alcohol, foods, any substance basically externally that you put in your body. Then, of course, there's internal substances, and you could say internal crutches as well, which is like thoughts and pictures and images in your mind. I mean, a lot of men get bound by porn. That's something that I struggled with as a teenager and as in my early 20s. Thank God that's not there. But yeah, we all have crutches, so it's the basic same principles still. So I'm finding that I'm starting to derive small amounts of pleasure from everyday life. Every now and then, I get a sort of, an increase of joy that's kind of surprising to me, because I've been so lacking in that area for 7 months that now when it comes, I'm like, oh wow, this is a surprise, this is new, which is really good. So it's helped fasting with my food, and then fasting instant gratification at TV, and not just immediately when I get home from work, like diving into instant gratifications and pleasures of the world again, because I immediately get irritable as soon as I dive in. So that's where we're at. Peace.